Okay.
Okay, we're gonna get started. It is 1:30, so, this, well, not that we're minimizing the importance, but this is a mandatory, education piece for, the Minnesota, statutes that we have, education for staff in emergency preparedness at least twice a year. And also your education, I didn't accidentally schedule the emergency preparedness modules a second time. That is also a mandate, 2 of them per year, so that has to be scheduled twice a year by Minnesota statute. So sorry for the pain and agony, because I know those are not easy to watch, but it's required, so we'll do it. So we're gonna welcome Chris Laton again. Chris is the fire chief at the Slayton Fire Department. Has a nice presentation, some really good reminders to staff about, emergency preparedness as a whole, but specifically fire prevention and response. So I'll just turn it over to Chris, and then when he's done, we'll excuse him and we can just kind of go over some internal things too. So go ahead.
Okay, I didn't change this a whole lot from last year, added a few things. You guys asked me to come last year, that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. Now I'm doing 2, 3, 4 of them a year for other places. So, we'll just talk about a few things, what you're gonna get if you call us, what we expect from you guys, as far as accountability and things of that nature. And then we'll kind of wind down at the end with some fire extinguisher stuff. It's totally up to you guys. I brought some extinguishers if you wanna. We won't have a fire or anything, but we can just discharge them outside if you'd like to do that. That's up to you guys. Doesn't matter to me. And we can kind of go from there. I like to keep it light. If something pops in your head as we're going along here, only 10 or 11 slides, so if something pops in your head and you have a question, ask it. If you're thinking it, somebody else probably is as well. So
Before we move on, does anybody have a desire to go spray an extinguisher outside? No? Okay.
whatever works for you guys, it's no big deal either way on my end, so.
Okay.
Hold a pin and shoot or aim and shoot.
Yep. Well, there'll be a video that shows you all that stuff here towards the middle here, so. Just some topics we're gonna talk about. Situation, location, you guys do have a fire alarm panel here. That gives us a general idea of where things are at. Evacuation, accountability, what you're gonna get from us on an incident command side of things. And then, like I said, fire extinguishers. So when you call in to dispatch, because I don't think your fire alarm system is tied into dispatch, you guys have to call. So when you call in, we want as many details as possible, and that's for us to get a jump on preparing, sending enough people to an incident here. It doesn't matter whether we're talking fire, evacuation for a gas leak, anything of that nature, as many details as we can get. We wanna know what's going on, do you have a fire, entrapment, lift assist, that's probably gonna end up being if ambulance is here. There's enough of you here, we probably won't get called for that. Or just a fire alarm going off for no reason. Give us the details of what zone it is, things of that nature. Location in the building, if it's in an apartment, if it's in the kitchen, give us these details so we know where we need to focus our efforts. Let us know if there's any known injuries, who we are looking for when we get here, who we are going to be talking to when we get here, so that we can have that unified command. And when I get here, if Sue is in charge that day, I will be communicating with Sue. Sue then will be communicating with you guys. That way, I'm not talking to somebody that isn't looking at the whole incident, if that makes sense. And then has evacuation started, and that's a big thing. You guys have multiple people in here that potentially need help getting out and things like that, so obviously, we don't want you guys coming in here if you got a roaring fire in here, but if you got a fire over here and you got people over there that need to get out yet, let's start getting those people out. I know last time we talked, the safest place for some of these people, if you have a fire in a different part of the building and not in a room, or in their room, is in their room. Close the door, leave them in there. We can take the window out to their room, we can get them out that, and we don't have to take them through this mess. Does that kinda make sense?
Mhm.
Kind of the old shelter in place deal. Any questions on any of that info?
Can we just touch on that a minute? Is that like if we're fully engulfed, or is that just, because our protocol is that if it's safe to do so, which can be kind of a gray area, that we would start evacuation and
I
move on
think,
out.
I think absolutely what you just said. If it's safe to, like I said, if you have a fire in the garage, you can get most of these people out of here. You know, if you don't have smoke hanging down this far, you can get them out of here. Now, if you got a pretty good roaring fire in here, they're gonna be a lot safer in their room as long as the fire isn't in their room for us to get here, cause a couple people can start taking windows out on the outside and we can take these residents out that way. It's not perfect, but, there's a lot of data out there that shows closed door in a structure that's fully engulfed, that room stays clear, no smoke, and intact for a very long time before it gets to that. So, I don't have a good answer for you, it's gonna be situation by situation, but obviously it's common sense, if you can get people out of here, absolutely, but if you can't, make sure doors are closed, try to keep
So
them
if-
from running.
If we're in the room with the client and we have the door closed, should we get like a wet towel or a wet blanket and put in front of the door at all, or are these are fire doors, right? On the residence door?
I think
Yeah,
so,
they're all
yeah.
fire doors.
Okay,
They're
okay,
just not medically or
So
mechanically closed, you have to manually close.
Right.
yeah,
So we had a house fully involved, out at the lake one time, and there literally was no roof left on the house. The hallways and everything were completely burned up, and at the end of the hall, one of the kids' room's door was closed, and the mom and dad's door was open. There was absolutely nothing salvageable in the parents' room, it was all burned up. I opened the door to go into the kids' room, and the wallpaper was all still on the walls. I could see to the sky, cause there was absolutely no roof or ceiling left, but there was nothing burned in that room.
wow,
So that's how important it is to
okay,
keep doors closed. And even these hallway doors, I mean, any door you can close it, cause it's gonna slow the spread of fire down dramatically. So it's really important. We've had a couple of them that, for some reason, the people kept the house closed up and we were able to show up and put a small fire out. And we've had some where they open everything up and it's roaring like crazy by the time we get there, so.
okay,
It's a gray area, it's gonna be a judgment call, whether you get them out or leave them in. Obviously, out is way better than in, but not all is lost if they have to stay in the room with the door closed until we can get some people allocated to it, so. Anything else? And this dives more into that, it's good to know which people need, you know, have wheelchairs or walkers or whatever, oxygen's a big thing. We need to get these people somewhere we can get them plugged back in and stuff like that, so. The other thing we talked about last year was the time of year. Obviously, right now, we're at the point where we can't just send everybody outside, cause they're gonna freeze, so. I know you said you guys have keys to the senior center, okay? Other thing I thought about earlier today was, I think we could get into the city shop if we had to, and that's, you know, a block down. So that'd be another option if we couldn't get in there. and then just getting them to and from, Rudolph's, I think we could get them here if we had to.
We do have a memorandum of understanding with Ludolph's that they will help us with transportation.
Okay. It would just be a matter of getting that rolling ASAP, and that's an incident command thing, that's a working with sheriff's office, all that stuff. Heat of the battle, all that comes through, we don't know, so. I'll dive in a little bit with this now. Time of day is gonna affect, obviously, the evacuation. Nowadays, obviously, you got 4 or 5 people sitting out there right now at night. They're probably all sleeping. Did they hear it? Do they have any idea what's going on? That's where we need to know exactly how many people are in here, what we're looking at. And that's when we start leaning on you guys heavily for that. And then along with that, daytime versus nighttime for us, obviously daytime is getting harder and harder for all entities of emergency service to get enough manpower. We just had a call yesterday, we had 5 people in the first 5 minutes. We got to 10 in the first 10 minutes, but you start talking about a big incident during the day, that's where we have to know what we have, start calling in mutual aid immediately, because they're 15 minutes, 20 minutes out minimum. So the more details we get early on, the quicker we can get resources here. This is just kind of an accountability deal. We need to know obviously how many people are in here. And the representative, like I talked before, and then, like I just said, having enough people so we can get resources here. And then the big one is this. The hospital here is great, but 2 traumas and their resources are beginning to become maxed out. We had it yesterday. There was 3 people involved in an accident, 1 had to go to Pipestone. So it's a very real thing, and that's where we need to start pulling in extra resources quick. Oops. Okay, this is just kind of our incident command. The incident commanders, the chiefs, the assistant chiefs wear white helmets. Can't guarantee that you're gonna have a chief on scene during the day. I mean, it's becoming more and more likely that you're not. We're followed, 3 captains follow us, they wear red helmets. They very well could be in charge during the day until one of us can get here. And then all of the firefighters wear yellow helmets. Of the 6, so there's 3 chiefs and 3 captains of those 6 leadership team. We're not here. It's the most senior firefighter that's probably gonna start taking over command at that point. Obviously, in a situation here, we're probably gonna auto aid the ambulance right away. It's not in the system to be done that way, but they'll get called right away knowing the facility we're going to, and then we'll pull in surrounding departments to come in and help. Any questions with any of that stuff before we kind of roll into the fire extinguisher stuff? A lot of it is common sense-ish. I mean, your instincts are gonna tell you what to do, so. Okay, as far as fire extinguishers, I'm gonna play this video first. It's like 5 minutes or 6 minutes long, and then we'll go through some things after that. But she does a really good job of explaining everything. If I can work here.
Last time that you had to use a fire extinguisher. For most of us, fire extinguishers are one of those things we like to have around, but hope never to use. Hi, I'm Rachel Walla with Ally Safety, and in this video, we're going to cover some quick tips on fire extinguisher use. It's going to include the types of fire extinguishers out there, when to fight a fire and when to evacuate, and lastly, how to use a fire extinguisher. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. To know about how to fight fires, you first have to understand the fire triangle. For a fire to exist, there has to be 3 elements in place. Those elements are oxygen, heat, and fuel. Fire extinguishers are designed on the type of fuel that may be needed to be extinguished. Using the wrong type of extinguisher can actually just make a fire worse. Think, for example, of an oil fire being extinguished with a water extinguisher. Now the oil is naturally going to float on top of the water, and the water will just encourage the fire to spread. So you have to know the type of fuel that you're going to need to extinguish to choose the right extinguisher. How fire extinguishers are designed is to remove just one side of the fire triangle. For example, a lot of fire extinguishers are powder extinguishers. What they do is they suffocate the fire with powder, removing the oxygen. Or something like a water extinguisher will remove the heat from the fire. So you can see it's a pretty simple science all in all. The classes of extinguisher that you need to know are A, B, C, D, and K. Class A fire extinguishers are for ordinary combustibles, things like wood, paper, and cardboard. Class B fire extinguishers are for flammable liquids, like diesel, oil, gas, those types of things. Class C fire extinguishers are for energized electrical equipment. Class D fire extinguishers are for combustible metals. Those are things like sodium, magnesium, and potassium. Class K fire extinguishers are easy to remember because think of the K standing for kitchen. They're designed to put out oil fires in things like deep fryers. Now, one thing to know about fire extinguishers are some are specific to just one type of fuel. For example, it may be simply a type A extinguisher or a type K, but most can extinguish more than one type. For example, this is an ABC fire extinguisher. This is actually the most common out there. How it works is it uses a dry powder to smother the fire. Portable fire extinguishers are built to extinguish fires that are in the incipient phase. This is the phase that comes soon after ignition before the fire has really generated a lot of heat. A fire in this phase is roughly the size of an office trash can. Now you don't want to extinguish fires that have gone to the next phase, which is the growth phase. In the growth phase, the fire starts to generate heat and grows rapidly. A fire extinguisher isn't designed to extinguish a fire that large. In fact, you're going to run out of chemical before you get that far along. One thing to note when making the decision whether to evacuate or fight the fire is that most fire extinguishers only have enough extinguishing agent to last about 30 seconds. In the event of a fire, always make the decision that your safety is your priority. Never put yourself in the position where the fire is blocking you from the exit, and only fight it if you feel comfortable and safe doing so. Now, to fight a fire using a fire extinguisher, remember the PASS method. That's P-A-S-S. Pull the pin, aim the nozzle, squeeze the trigger, and sweep at the base of the flames from side to side. Once the fire is out, it's not uncommon for the fire to reignite a few minutes later. So make sure that you're keeping watch until you're certain that it's out and done. Okay, so now you know the basics of fire extinguisher use. Make sure you go around your work area and check that you have the right fire extinguishers for the type of fuel available. Also, check the fire extinguishers to make sure that they're properly charged and ready to go in case they're ever needed. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed...
Alright.
When was the last time that...
So a lot of this stuff is gonna be kind of repetition of what she said. We'll just go through it somewhat quick here. There are different types of fire extinguishers. Everything in here is ABC except for the Ansel system, and you're gonna work on getting something sorted out with that for a K in there. So, they're really easy to see if they're charged or not. There's a little needle in here, and if it's in the green, it's charged and ready to go. If you ever use one, bump it, whatever, and it goes off just a little bit, it needs to get recharged. Because what'll happen is the powder will get in the needle in here, and it will just slowly bleed down, and then it will be useless to you. So if you ever use one, bump one, whatever, get somebody here to check it out, recharge it. It's very important to know where they're at. I think you guys got 4 or 5 in the hallways here. I believe all the ones you have are 5-pounders.
They're all the same. We have 2 on that hall, 2 on that hall, and 1 in our garage.
Okay.
And obviously the K that we're gonna work together in the kitchen.
Yep. So all the ones you have here are 5-pounders. They're small like this, and they're not so hard to maneuver around. The 10-pounders are the next ones that they're about this tall. They can be kind of cumbersome. So just open the door, grab it, and go to wherever you need to go. Like I said, if you deploy one, make sure you get it charged or checked out. This is just reiterating what they said. You pull the pin, which all of them should have a seal on them like this. I've learned the easiest is to just take this pin and twist it, and it snaps this plastic a lot easier than trying to pull it out. You will struggle. I've struggled numerous times with it. I feel like a dork because I'm standing over here trying to get this out, and we got a fire going. So, like I said, just turn it, pull that pin out. A lot of times it ends up going like this. You never find it again, and then just pull this out like this. Aim at the base of your fire. Squeeze this handle and sweep back and forth. And more than likely, you're gonna breathe it in. You're gonna start coughing. You're gonna have all kinds of stuff going on. So, pretty simple for the most part. Try to know what's burning so you have the right extinguisher. All the ones you have in here are gonna be ABC, other than if you get the kitchen one going. And that will more than be sufficient for what you guys have going on in here. One big thing, if you are going to try to fight a fire with a fire extinguisher, always place yourself between the fire and your exit route. Always have a way to get out, because it could go bad fast. You start spraying that and it just gets bigger, it's time to get going. You do not want that between you and the exit. So, like she said, incipient stage, pretty small fire is what this will be good for. If it starts spreading and gets bigger, it's time to just get out and focus your efforts on something else. And then, like I said earlier, as you exit the structure, try to close doors as you're going. It's just gonna hopefully stifle it down and keep it in one area if possible until we can get here. Any questions on that? That was the
So if
last
you're
slide.
spraying one like that size, is it seconds or minutes, or that it'll actually
Roughly-
spray continuously?
Roughly 30 seconds, and it's gonna quickly decrease in velocity, I'll call it, as you go. I haven't actually sprayed one consistently for that time frame, but I bet you it's probably less than that. So when they talk about 5-pound, 10-pound, that's roughly the amount of powder that's in there. I think that thing actually weighs like 8 pounds, some 8 ounces or something like that. So the powder that's in there is actually 5 pounds worth of powder. Same with the 10-pound ones, it's kinda how they classify them. So yeah, any other questions, concerns? Wants, needs? Okay, nothing else, so I will get out the way and
So just to kind of reinforce that we follow the RACE plan, so our first, RACE, the R for us stands for rescue. So we wanna rescue anybody in immediate danger of the fire, if safe to do so. I always tell people, we are not firefighters, we are not dressed, equipped, trained to do a extensive rescue, but if it means that the fire is, you know, down by, just say the garage entrance, you know, we wanna rescue as best able, you know, probably 5 and 6, and then work our way away from the fire and keep moving. So that's the rescue part. Just get them out of the building if safe to do so, and as Chris said, if not, closing the door so it minimizes the spread. The A is alarming, so typically before we would pull our alarm, we would probably want to place the call to 911 to get more boots on the ground quicker. And also, they, you know, if the alarms are firing, it's not always easy to communicate on the phone when you got them blaring black. Has anybody heard them alarms sounding here? They're shrill, so if you can possibly alert the EMS first, that's the next step, and then pulling the fire alert internally so that everybody's aware. Our residents are instructed to stay in their rooms until we can get to them and tell them where to go or if it's safe to go. Just because we don't want them all out in the halls running every which direction. We'd rather say the fire is there, so get out to this exit, you know, that type of thing. So that's the alerting them. And of course, alerting your other coworkers too. You don't want to man the ship alone. You want to designate somebody to be the lead, as Chris said, and the notifier to the EMS when they're arriving, directing them where to go, giving them that necessary information they're looking for. The C is to confine, and again, only if safe to do so. Extinguish, you know, the fire. The C is confine, exactly. So get everybody behind a fire door or out of the building. So in their room, if it's not safe to get them out, you're closing the door. You're confining the fire as best you can. And the E is extinguish. That's the last step. Again, we're not trained to, you know, fight a blazing fire, little wastebasket fire, use the extinguisher and do it, but otherwise leave the dirty work or the heavy work to those that are trained to do so, and just get everybody out if we can. So, questions about that RACE plan? Again, we do have to call 911. Some buildings are, if the fire system is activated, alarm is activated, it goes directly to EMS. Ours does not, so we have to physically make that call. And then our acuity, evacuation, the green, yellow, red, green, yellow, I don't have those colors memorized, but currently we only have one person that is pretty capable of evacuating independently, number 4. Most of ours are at that next level of evacuation where we have to go to them, tell them which direction of travel, which kind of get them started, and then we do have a couple people that we would actually physically have to remove from the building. So any questions about that acuity? Who goes when? And you know, we want to get to the person that's most mobile first and get them going, and then the ones that need a little more assistance, and lastly in our protocol, the ones that need max assist because we're going to use more of our valuable time getting them out than the person that we can just say get and go, get and go, get and go. You know, this person we're going to have to spend some extensive time on. We want everybody else rolling before we're spending extensive time for that individual. So, sounds cruel, but is what it is. We have to have some method of evacuation, and that's what ours is. So, and that's actually a Department of Health recommendation on our last survey, is that we have to have some sort of acuity evacuation plan.
How many exits do you guys have?
So our main, and then the two north hallways are exits.
Okay,
Through our, we have a little sunroom on the east side,
Okay.
that's an exit, and of course our garage doors.
okay. And then, is the building locked after a certain time of the day?
It's always locked.
It's always locked?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Something to think about, and we probably have keys for this place, I don't know for sure, I'd have to go look. A thing that's kinda coming to fruition is there's a system, it's a Knox box, it's KNOX. They put those in to buildings, community buildings, whatever, and then like the fire department has a key and it opens all of the Knox boxes in your community. So instead of us having a lockbox in our truck with 25 different keys to all these different places, we can have one key for a Knox box. We get there, we walk up, open it, and it could have the keys, it could have a residency list. I mean, you could update that residency list, so we could walk up to that, grab it, and be like, all right, this is what we got going on, and we could get in the building if we had to. Something to think about. It's not a big deal, but
so it's just got a keypad on it that
nope, it's actually
keyed.
it's a keyed deal that and I think you can get them keypadded, I'm not sure. This just is very new for me. When they designed the new county shop building, they designed one in there, and Randy Groves called, and he's like, you ever heard this? I said, no, and, so they've got one in there, and I'm gonna kinda start pushing it with some different new buildings at least, and, it would just give us
Check that
access.
Yeah,
And-
I'll Google that too, or see
Yeah,
if it's-
there,
if
yeah,
it's-
and I did the same thing, and it's kinda neat. Yeah, so that's just a thought, not that there wouldn't be somebody here to let us in, but
Right,
rather than us breaking a door down or wrecking something to get in, that would be another option. There was one other thing I was thinking about when you were talking. It escaped me, so. But,
on our acuity, list that's on the med cart, and you just pull out that slide, and it's all there. It lists who's using oxygen, so we can quickly communicate that to them, and who has cylinders, in the building, because they wanna know about those too.
yep,
You know, and if timing is not your enemy at the time, you know, grabbing a few of those cylinders and getting them out, if we could, is always beneficial, but that is a very low priority in the grand scheme of things,
Yeah.
and shouldn't put yourself in harm's way to do it, but if there's time,
definitely get the residents out first, and we can sort the rest of that out later if we have to, so. Do you have a large quantity of cylinders?
7, 11. Is that it for right now? 7 and 11? Mm-hmm. For
she's
cylinders?
nighttime only. The people who use only nighttime oxygen don't have cylinders typically,
Okay,
so.
I think maybe 7 and 11 right now might be the only one, but
But certainly that changes,
oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
ever changing.
yeah, so we'd have to let you know that at the
Yeah,
time.
that's nothing that we would pre-plan for, it's just what it is.
Yeah, and just a couple other internal highlights or whatever about fire and evacuation as a whole. You know, we do have that key to the senior center on our med cart key ring, which is always in someone's possession. Whoever's on the med cart that day has that key on them. Again, if time allows, getting the laptop out and the med cart that's on wheels, just getting that out, because that's a very valuable resource to residents too. And the DNR binder that we have, just because if we do end up transporting people, we can always access our software remotely too, but it's kinda nice to have that quick reference, so that you have that DNR binder, your med cart, your key, and go, the laptop. But you can access it from a phone too, so the laptop isn't as crucial as some of the other pieces, but
and the log of who's here, who's
yeah,
out.
yeah.
Yep,
who's out for the day.
And you guys do that when they leave for,
Well, they're supposed to, they're educated on it multiple times, but, you know, but.
And some of them check out in the morning and they don't leave till afternoon.
yeah,
Or don't check back in.
Right.
yeah.
So I guess if nobody has questions for Chris, that's all that we have for you, and we'll just kinda continue to.
We'll scramble the
Chat
presentation
here.
up next year.
Great.
Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot.
Thank you.
Some of these doors, you know, if you do a fire alarm or activate the fire alarm, they're on magnets and they do close automatically. Another thing to kind of watch out for when you're moving people around, that they can cause a hazard for them to get, you know, balance altered and fall. So additionally to the fire presentation, Sarah and I were gonna have some discussions about some things. She was not able to make it today, so we're gonna have to delay that to another time. But if there's anything anybody wants to talk about, we can certainly bat some things around. Systems. Thank you all for Bob. I heard many family compliments about how staff interacted with family, how they cared for Bob, how grateful they are that he was able to be here for that stage of his illness, and you all did a great job. I mean, kept snacks and goodies for them, kept this room private for them to use. The care that was given Bob was phenomenal, so be proud. Yeah. I know it was a lot of work, I know it was. I experienced it myself, but I mean, we all did. But sometimes it takes a village to make good things happen, and it was very much appreciated by all of them, so. Rick came back today. Looks good. Walks, you know, as he did without a device. I think he told me he had 150 some staples, so he's got basically a zipper. Few med changes. He was on some steroids, so he had a really high blood sugars in hospital, but those have, and plus he only has one kidney. So those have kind of, but they have normalized for what is baseline for him. He's on 2 new oral agents, and the old ones are not being used at this time because of his kidney function. What else can I tell you about him? Lost a lot of weight. I haven't weighed him yet, but holy crap, don't you think he looks thin? We'll see him today.
He didn't hardly eat much at all for dinner. He ate his bar and 2 glasses of juice.
Great.
He's,
Sugar-free lemonade, you mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
he said he was getting apple juice in the hospital, and he said he could only have diet stuff, and I said, well, our apple juice isn't, but that they're, I don't know, can he have that diet cranberry? That we have bought?
Cranberry, yeah.
Yeah, I said the only thing that we have is the diet cranberry, and the lemonade is diet. So he opted, well, he had 2 glasses of lemonade, and his bar, and he ate his squash. I don't think he touched his beet or his potatoes.
Yeah, he's only been gone since October 20th, which
I wonder if his dentures fit him right if he's lost a lot of weight.
I didn't notice. He talked to me. I didn't notice that they were moving around at all, but could be a,
After he did get his dentures though, he hadn't really ate a lot of meat.
No, he didn't.
I don't know, he ate more meat without his dentures than
Yes,
with his dentures.
I agree. On our shift anyway, during the
Mhm.
days.
And if it was anything that had a little bit of toughness to it. Now today he didn't even cut into his pork roast at all. It was still all whole.
Jen is here. Jen Felder. I don't know if everybody's had a chance to meet her. She's pleasantly demented. Loves to smile and hug. Family's very involved. She's pretty, I mean, really pretty independent. Gets along very well with Bernice. They're long-term friends, although she visits with lots of people. Not too complicated, the care anyway.
She doesn't have the idea to unlock her door though.
Yeah.
Does she lock it?
Yes.
Pretty much all day.
All the
I,
time.
I told her today.
I knew it happened once, but I guess it
She
was.
had it locked almost all day yesterday.
Every time we went to get it for something, it was locked.
Mhm. I had told her today that she should probably leave it unlocked, because if she would fall or need emergency help, we can't even get in there unless we run the med aid person down for a key in order to get in there, and I go, it's not like,
Minutes lost.
like I told her, I go, it's not like your apartment that you had. This is more secure in here, so you don't have to feel like
Cause the outside door's locked.
yeah.
Yeah, I talked to her about it the other night too, but then she ended up locking. She just keeps locking.
I thought maybe when I only heard about it once, I thought, sometimes if you touch them, they can accidentally lock, but apparently it's not accidental.
Actually, she locked herself out once. She didn't have her keys, but now she carries her keys around her neck. And locks it all the time.
Keys and her pendant both.
Mhm.
She's walking like this pretty soon.
She's used to locking the door, you could probably break that.
Yeah.
Leona Reagan is scheduled to come next Friday. They've moved some things in. They got her a new lift chair and a donated bed. She's also demented, but I think she's early enough in the stage of the game that it's a good time to acclimate. She's gonna acclimate to some place, because once they progress to that stage that they're beyond, it gets to be really difficult. We'll have to lay down some boundaries for Leona, because she knows many of us from all the years that we worked together at the nursing home. And I'll be very quick to tell her that she can't be in our workspaces, there's a polite way of saying it. You can't just say, you can't be in here, it's just saying that, we have our jobs to do here. There's a lot of privacy things that we can't talk to you or have you hear or listen to, and just explaining to her that she can't follow us around. She can't be leaning on the center island talking to just say Mary or Kim or whatever in the kitchen, and that's an infection control thing. And it's just, you can say it very politely and still get the message across, but it may take several reminders. And hopefully, I'm very hopeful that she'll be respectful to resident private spaces as well. But we'll have to see and monitor. We've had others that have kind of been a bit intrusive to others that we've had to talk to, and if I have to talk to her, I'll talk to her. But, so just let me, feedback, whatever. And she'll probably, I don't know, maybe she'll just be fine. I think she's got a group of ladies that take her to the bakery often. She'll maybe continue to do that. She goes to the grain exchange periodically, might do that. I wonder if he's going to hospice. He could take their stuff. Yeah.
Oh, he did bring your pad back yesterday, then he told me, goes, make sure Susie knows that I'm bringing her pad back.
I don't know. Brooklyn, can you think of any other hot buttons? Anybody else got anything that we need to bat around? COVID is not gone, still out there. We've dodged the bullet. I hate to even say the word, but yeah. Yeah. You guys have a lot of people getting the RSV vaccine, or do you not do that?
Well, we only have 2 doses of it now, we've only given 1 to my knowledge, pharmacies have it though, so. We just went on with that. Halloween, I think it was, so we haven't had it very long.
I think we only have one resident who's gotten it. We're gonna try, pre-COVID, we had a big Christmas, for the residents. They were allowed to have, what, 2 or 4 people in, I can't even remember. 4. They could have 4 guests, we just kinda had an open meal that we served. Tables everywhere in this whole building, and they could just bring their family in for kind of their Christmas celebration. We're gonna try a smaller version of that this year, not make it a meal, but more of just maybe an afternoon of, you know, goodies and conversation and. Yeah. I don't know, I can't think of anything else. There's stuff in the garage, everybody, except for grass, tables, bundle shingles. I don't even know if they'd stick anymore, honestly, I suppose they would, I don't know. Some adaptive equipment stuff, we just don't have room in the garage to store all that stuff anymore. Well, if nobody has anything, speak now or forever hold your peace. I got nothing, I'm boring you all to tears. Thank you. Thank you for coming and thank you for everything you do.
Would you mind, I don't know, I'm sure Jane wouldn't want me to give her a shower, so I work in the morning on Saturday.
Yeah, I read that, so I'll give her, I'll go down there right away.
Okay, I was gonna say otherwise if you didn't, I'm not opposed to it. I don't think she would like me doing it.